Pittsburgh Steelers fans, it is time for another edition of Tales from 2 a.m. My name is Bryan Anthony Davis. I'm the podcast producer at BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. Wherever you want to get your Pittsburgh Steelers news, hey, it is fresh. If it's BTSC, whether it's on the editorial side, that's where you're going to get all the breaking news. Then you're going to get the podcast as well. And remember, podcasts, you can go back and check them out later. They do stick. They do stay. They will remain fresh for you. So go ahead and check that out. If it's black and gold and it's everything that you want, we've got it here. And thank you. If you're hanging out with me on a Sunday morning, then I really appreciate you, because I'm looking at the live chat now and it's always a battle. And to see who the first one in is going to be this morning. Congratulations to Brian Brown, Just Me, and Steven, the first three in today to check us out. Here comes Sean Manahan. Everybody saying good morning. Good morning to you. And I know some of these names that are coming in from the West Coast. That's pretty awesome to me, because I know it's 2 a.m. somewhere, but in a lot of places, it could be 6:46 a.m. where I'm coming from Maryland. It's 9:46 a.m. right at this time. Now, hopefully, it's Wednesday, and it's whatever time it is that you have downloaded this podcast, and you're checking us out. So if you're not in the live chat, that doesn't matter. You're just as important, and we really appreciate you. So thanks for everybody coming in today. We're going to talk about some Steeler stuff. And think about this. This might be sad to you. It's not sad to me that there's not too many Tales from 2 a.m.s left for 2021. Yes, this show is a short shelf life. I'm going to explain that in a second. I got to bring up my man Portna. Portna saying it's 4:46 p.m. in Riga. How about that? 4:46. Wow. It's like the guys down under. You know, they're into Monday in some places. Now, this is Sunday for him, but you get what I'm saying. So I know it's Monday morning for our friends in Australia. It's funny. You go way back to, let's see, 1999, December 31st, everybody was worried about Y2K. And Y2K was a thing that, if you don't remember the year 2000 and all the buildup in 1999, everybody thought it was going to be the end of the world because the computer systems couldn't handle it. People were building shelters underground. They were building bunkers, and they were going in there. And then, so everyone's like, oh, what's going to happen? It's going to be a countdown. Then we got word from Australia that everything was fine. So, like, it was the morning of December 31st. They're like, hey, the world did not end down under. We're okay. So I'll never forget that. So, hey, thanks everybody hanging out with me. Just Me says 50 gallons of water. Just Me, did you do that? I know people were doing that. You know what? I wonder, this might sound crazy. I wonder if there's somebody from the Y2K still in their bunker and haven't come out yet and have no idea. And then one of these days they'll just jump out and say, all right, I guess it's still here. Now we've got different problems. Last year was the murder hornets and everything with COVID. And boy, what all did they miss? Just Me's neighbors got 50 gallons of water. How about that? You know, they didn't think they were going to have to pay that water bill. You know, so they just filled up all these jugs probably. Gotta say good morning to my pops there. Bad Dad in the house this morning. Good morning, Dad. How are you, buddy? Love to see you in here. So, you know, here's the thing. I'm going to talk about life. And it's not Prince. It's not like I'm doing the beginning of Let's Go Crazy. Little thing we call here life. Electric word life. You can always see the sun, day or night. So when you call up that shrink in Beverly Hills, you know the one. Doctor, everything's going to be all right. All right. I'm done with that. But there you go. Little 19, going back to 1984. So Brian Brown says this, listen to them this morning. I have wife night, date night, or whatever you want to call up so he misses the Saturday shows. That's awesome. Brian, I'm glad you do that. That's great. Also want to bring up, I'm going to bring up Dave here. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet. I have a Steelers podcast. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. Can you guys check it out? Steel City Renegades tonight on redlineradiolllc.com. Hey, check that out. Check Dave out. I have no problem with that. Hey, there's a lot of people that think that we are pretend media. I'm not going to mention his name, but there's been a Twitter feud going after some of our guys. Not really getting involved with that, but if you think we're pretend, then pretend with me. I appreciate that. Matt Stofko. Matt's one of my Johnstown boys here. Y3K is going to be really bad. Well, if you freeze my head, if the Davis family freezes my head like I asked them to, then we'll bring out the bad head, and Y3K could be really bad. How about that? So we'll see what happens for Y3K because I'll be around. We'll just freeze this. That'll be fun. So, what is Tales from 2 a.m.? Hey, John C. What's up, buddy? Tales from 2 a.m. is simple. It's kind of a state of mind. You know how I became Mr. 2 a.m. Just from fun stuff, fun stories that are all true, except for a lot of you have put that moniker on me and think that I was probably a lot cooler than I actually was. Just me as a pretender. I love it. So yeah, hey, you can pretend with me. Captain Underpants. Man, I think this is catching on. You guys we aren't quite the Ride or Die crew. Hashtag Ride or Die, which is awesome, by the way. I'm not ripping on those guys. They started this. Maybe we're pretending to be them. That's cool. But hashtag bad, all caps. Bad's going to be all caps. Bad company. How about that? You know what? Here's something. Here's a Tales from 2 a.m. story. And I kind of brought this up the other night on the show with Jeff Hartman. Jeff and I did the preview while Mr. Schofield, the editor, got some much needed rest. I hope he had a great vacation. Can't wait to see him back. So here's the deal. Here is the deal. I partied with Bad Company in 1991. The bass player wasn't an original bass player. I think he was hitting on my date. I never went out with her again, so maybe, I don't know what happened, but I was backstage. Then we went to a restaurant with a bunch of us, and we went to a party with Bad Company. It wasn't as cool as you would think it would be, but it was pretty awesome. And yeah, the bass player kind of stole my lady at the time. What you gonna do? We'll always have that. How about that? So I just want to talk about life. And where are the Steelers in your life? We talked about it. I mean, Bad Dad's in here. We talked about your influence of the Steelers. I mean, the influence the Steelers had on you, but not how you became a Steeler fan is basically what we did. And I love it. Snowman says, it's going. I just don't know where it's going. It's really funny. Hey, Clarence, what's up, buddy? I'm in a good mood. I'm just greeting people today. I feel like I should be Walmart or a casino greeter. Maybe that'll be my day. One day you go to Vegas and I'll just be this old washed up pretender and I'll just greet people at casinos. And then you can buy me like $3 steak and eggs at Binion's. That'd be great. Oh, I could go for steak and eggs. That'd be awesome. Garrett, how's it going, buddy? So, what role do the Pittsburgh Steelers have in your life every single day? It doesn't have to be every single day. It could be a Sunday thing. For hashtag Bad Company, you know what? It's more than just Sundays in the fall for you because you're here now. You think You think Clarence Washington doesn't bleed black and gold? You don't think Snowman doesn't think about the Steelers every day? And he does. You don't have to be a good fan. But I'm going to say this. You know me, I'm a positive guy. Terry B, what's up, buddy? I'm a positive guy. Sometimes life sucks. Sometimes life beats you down like a hobo in the street. And all you're asking for is 2 bits to go get a cup of coffee or maybe $5 to go buy some kind of malt liquor. But it beats you down. And we need a happy place. I love life, but you have those days. You have those days when you just get sucker punched in the face. You have those days where you feel like a $2 hooker in church and everybody's looking at you. You have those days. And what do you do in those days? You go to your happy place. That's it. You have a happy place. For you out there, you know what? The Pittsburgh Steelers are your happy place. And you find them. And you find that happy place and you kind of, you get lost in the Steelers on Sundays. But for you guys, Snowman, life punched me ugly. I've seen pictures. Snowman's a very attractive man. So there you go. Then we're kind of like, there's days you're like Norm Peterson. How's it going, Mr. Peterson? It's a dog-eat-dog world, and I'm wearing Milk-Bone underwear. There it is. So, you know what? You find that happy place. And you let the Steelers be it. My gosh, I'm preaching like I'm at church right now. But we have those memories. And memories can be good or bad things. You know I'm a big Counting Crows fan. If I haven't talked about it, I've seen them 3 times in concert. There's a song by the Counting Crows. It's a song about fame. But it's about 7-8 minutes long. It was on the Hanging Around album. It was the second track after the title track, Hanging Around. And there's a line in that song, a lyric that says, the price of a memory is the sorrow that that memory brings. Yeah, I get that. But there's the other price of a memory. It's not even a price. It's a reward of that memory. And that memory's reward ties into your happy place. You go back into that happy place. And you know what happens when you go into that happy place? You forget. You get lost. Remember the old commercial? Bad Dad knows this. Calgon, take me away. It's a woman. She's just in a tub. She's laying back in a tub. Life beat her that day. The kids were running around just like crazy. They were throwing Pop-Tarts at each other's face. The husband worked late. She's wondering, my gosh, is he working late or is he out at somebody's house that he's not supposed to be? She's beaten down. She goes in there, Calgon, take me away. Your happy place, when you go to that happy place and it's a black and gold happy place, you just lay there and you go, Steelers, take me away. Take me to that happy place. And you go there. You go to that happy place. How do you go to that happy place? Well, you go to the happy place by going to BTSC. You go to that happy place by watching the Steelers and following the Steelers wherever you follow them. and you forget about your problems for a while and you just hang out. And it's all okay for that 3 hours when you're watching that team. So that's to me, that's why we do this here. That's why we love it. Aaron Butler, his happy place is M&T Bank Stadium. It's the best place to be, or even just a ride or walk by. Let me tell you something. Jeff Hartman and I, this is right when I started. I started in 2015, and we talk about this all the time. Jeff and I were men on the playground. And I will tell you this. He's the senior editor, probably one of my closest friends in this world. I love this guy. I could say the same thing about Dave Schofield. I could say the same things about Tony D. A lot of these guys I'm close to. This is my BTSC family. I love these guys. But Jeff is one of my favorite people in this world. And when you think of good people, you think of Jeff. Jeff is an awesome dude. Dave is an awesome dude too. Good people. But it's funny. Jeff and I met on the playground. Our kids, they're still friends. He's got a boy. I have a little girl. They've been friends since kindergarten. And I show up on a June day. I was out of town. I was actually in Atlantic City, not for fun. No blackjack, no craps, no hookers. It's never been a hooker. I love saying the word hooker. I don't know why. I've already said, I'm like Devin Bush. Devin Bush can only do two tweets in a show, 2 tweets a day now. I can only say words like Arby's twice, and I get fined. I can only say the word hooker twice. But anyways, Jeff and I, we met on the playground, and he's everywhere I would go. I would see Jeff, and I didn't know him that well, but we struck up a conversation of all things the first time at a chiropractor's office, because our kids would go to a chiropractor, and kids' night was always like Thursday night, where they would give adjustments to the kids. And I'm saying way too much, but I remember the first conversation I struck up with him, and I always wanted to talk to this guy because he's always wearing black and gold something. It wasn't always Steelers. It was Pirates. It was Penguins. I don't think I've ever seen a Pittsburgh Riverhound shirt on him, but I wouldn't have been surprised, And I always thought it was cool. His kids are running around wearing black and gold. I'm like, yeah, this is my kind of guy. And I remember it was during the playoffs. The Pirates were playing the St. Louis Cardinals in the playoffs. And so, yeah, this was 2013, the first time I talked to him, when they were playing the Cardinals. And so it was late in the game. It was like 7th, 8th inning. I had to go and take my daughter to this appointment, and Jeff was there. And that was our first conversation. Man, wish we were watching the Pirates right now, And so we just became, we became guys that nodded at each other because we had that connection. I found out he was from Wheeling. I'm from Johnstown, big Pittsburgh Steelers fan too. He didn't know the extent to my Pittsburgh Steelers fandom. I didn't know his. So I'm standing there, and this has become one of my happy place memories. The school's right down the street from me right now, and we're standing. It's called Field Day. We didn't have Field Day when I grew up in Johnstown, but Field Day. What Field Day is, it's like the last day of school that they let the kids play outside all day, and they have these coordinated games. And so the parents, especially in kindergarten, they're there and they're watching, and you have different sets of parents that know each other, that that are part of the village, and there's cliques, but I'm the kind of guy that I get to know everybody. And so I walked up and I stood there, and next thing you know, Jeff's standing next to me. He said, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey," and I couldn't even remember. I didn't know his name. I knew who he was, but I didn't even remember his name at that point. And he didn't know mine, but he knew he could approach me and talk to me because I was a part because we have the same happy place. That's it. So he would say to me, what do you think about the Steelers this year? And this is June 7th. It's June 7th. There's nothing to talk about on the Steelers. But guess what? I was on BTSC that morning. And I read an article about Lawrence Timmons, how he wants to be a Steeler forever. And I said to him, I'm like, I was not. All right, I just got distracted by something important. I said, oh, yeah, important. I think we're going to get into that. How about that? So what happened? I said, well, I'm pretty excited about the Steelers, because he said, hey, how do you think the Steelers are going to look this year? I'm like, well, Lawrence Timmons. I was really excited. I read an article about Lawrence Timmons days, and he started to smile, and he goes, yeah, I wrote that article. I'm like, then all of a sudden there's a hallelujah chorus. Woo! I mean, it was a bright day, but it just got brighter. It was like, woo! I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what? You wrote an article about the Steelers? You wrote that? And he said, yeah, I just became the editor of Behind the Steel Curtain. And I'm like, wow, I used to write an article when I lived in Elkins, West Virginia. I was telling him I used to write, and they were columns they were what I do now. They're just like goofy stuff, just having fun, but tying it into the Steelers. And I worked for a newspaper that they let me in on it. So we started talking. 6 days later, I wrote my first article for him, and the rest has been history. I know some of you have heard that story before, but because we shared the same happy place, well, man, this is what we're doing now. And we're thriving and doing it together. But one of the reasons I bring up Jeff, later on that year, we had to go, they're now in first grade. And the thing in first grade is you drive about an hour and a half in a bus to the aquarium in Baltimore. And the first graders all get to go. And you need lots of parents for that, because you've got kids hopped up on Capri Sun, just woo! They're running around the aquarium. So you need parents there. And so here we are. And I'm sitting on the bus with my kid, my daughter, Jeff sitting on the bus with his son, and we're there talking the entire time, and we're talking about the Steelers, and I can even tell you specifically what we were talking about, because Vince Williams threatened Vontaze Burfict. And there's an article about that, and we were talking about how he threatened to put a cap in him on South Beach. We were like, oh my goodness. And so anyways, so we're talking, and then all of a sudden he looks to the left and goes, oh, there it is. And I'm like, oh, I might have swore. I blank hate that place. And so he goes, you know what? Every time I go past that place, I give it the finger. And I said, I just did. You just didn't see it. I do that every single time. So your happy place, Aaron, I give it the finger every single time. I'm glad you have your happy place. It's a good place for you, because that's what your happy place is. Awesome. But my happy place is on Art Rooney Drive. It's in Pittsburgh. But it doesn't even have to be there. My happy place is right here. So I want to talk about your happy place. I want to talk about games that make you feel good. But I don't want to talk about Troy Polamalu taking the ball back on an interception to put the Steelers in Super Bowl 43. That's a mainstream happy place memory. I want to talk about non-mainstream happy place memories. I want you to be talking about a game on Monday Night Football in 1983 when Keith Willis ripped the helmet off of Kenny Anderson, or was it Turk Schoner, or something like that? I want to talk to you about those happy places and those fun games. And we're going to do that right after this when we come back on Tales from 2 a.m. from BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. Welcome back to Tales from 2 a.m. My name is Bryan Anthony Davis. If you're hanging out with me live on Facebook, on YouTube, thank you so much. Hey, hit me up in the comments section. You know I love you. You don't know that I love you if you are in your car right now, or you're at home, or you're at the gym, and you've downloaded this. That's awesome too. I love you so much. So thank you. That's a big deal to me. If you are bleeding black and gold and you have a happy place that's called the Pittsburgh Steelers, then you and I, we live together in harmony. Just like before. Remember when I wanted to buy the world a Coke and I wanted to buy Steeler Nation a Coke? Yeah, I'm still thinking about that. I'm buying you a Coke. I love y'all. So here we are. I want to talk about those happy memories. I was going to bring up this team. This is great. Dave Shipley, my man. Three Rivers Stadium. And I could tell you when this was. This was 1989 when Greg Lloyd knocked out Al Toon and Thomas Everett counted him out. My gosh. The only bad thing about that, the only thing I felt bad about that was Al Toon had a history of concussions in here. They're knocking him. They're counting him out. That's great. So your happy place. That's a good happy place. That's a memory. That's not Antoine Randall throwing the ball to Hines Ward in the Super Bowl. That's not that. This is what I want. Dave Shipley. Great there. I tell you what, who knows all about Pittsburgh Steelers happy places. I'll tell you who has had to deal with this idiot for a long, long time. I'm going to bring her up. Bad Mom's in the house. The woman that gave me the name Bad. Right there. I would not be bad without this lady here. So, Mom, love ya. Mom's checking me out. I love it. When we started the Facebook, going on Facebook, it gave my parents an opportunity to easily catch the show. And that's awesome. So it wasn't easy for them to find. They would try to download it and do that, but that's great. I want to bring this up here. Brian Brown watching the bus run all over the Rams after they traded him to the Steelers. Yes. Oh my gosh, they crushed them that day. And that's a game that I kind of forget about. But this is what this is all about. I love this. Yeah. 1996, they traded him. Man, they thought they had Lawrence Phillips. They thought they had something good in him. They were going to the Rich Brooks system. Rich Brooks was at Oregon, then came to the St. Louis Rams, and now they're doing this deal. Didn't work for Bus. Bus found his happy place. It was in Pittsburgh. If I miss you, put it on again. Lifelong fan 07. I was at the Oakland Coliseum. Cordell Stewart thumped the Raiders. I was with my dad. We had all of our Steelers gear on. All the Raiders fans were like, don't bring that in here. We had a great time. Lifelong fan, I will just say to you, God bless you. That takes a lot of guts to wear black and gold in Oakland. I have always said that I always wanted to go to a game in that hellhole, but I would probably just wear all black because I've seen what they do to people here. And I've told you, I know I've told you this before, but my cousin who was on a couple weeks ago in the live chat, I remember this, her husband telling me years ago, and this was just in Los Angeles when the Raiders played in Los Angeles. He actually has, he could actually go like this. He's like, all right, yeah, this is Broncos. This one's Broncos 87. This one's Seahawks 88. Yeah, I mean, People would jump you in the stands, and you could be Raiders fans, but if you wore another team's jersey, and it would get crazy there. So wow, that's pretty awesome. Lifelong, good one. Great name too. I like that, lifelong fan. Snowman says every time we beat the Ratbirds, that's your happy place. Give me a specific one. I'm thinking of a really cool specific one that you don't think about, that we don't think about all the time. And I'm thinking about 2002. Hines Ward and Plexico Burris going. I think this is where the rivalry was born, where to the point where it got ugly when Hines Ward went after Ed Reed. Love it. But yeah, I like to hear that. Sean Manahan. I'm going backwards because I want to see this. This is great. My happy place was Raymond James Stadium in 2001 when Steelers came to town, and Jerome Bettis ran all over the Bucs and threw a TD pass, winning the game 17-10. Now, that is the game that Warren Sapp, not a fan of. He was run. That's the game where they ran through the warm-ups, and then they did it again the year later, and the Steelers fought them. Then they beat them on Monday Night Football. That was pretty sweet. That is a great memory, and those are ones that you don't think of. That's awesome. I want to bring up Robert Rohde from Colorado. The Steelers are a way of life. It doesn't matter where I live, where I go, or where I work. There are always other Steelers fans with me. Man, I live in Maryland. We have more Steelers bars than ever. Than Ravens bars. We do. I had the opportunity to grow up in Johnstown, and I grew up in Johnstown in the late 70s and all the 80s. Everybody were Steeler fans. There were those stragglers, but man, everybody was there. It was fun. Port, I didn't forget about you. I'll try to bring it up at the end of the show when you're asking about Johnstown, home of the Chiefs, the inspiration for Team and Slapshot. Let's just say that Mrs. Bad, not Mrs. Bad, sorry. Mrs. Bad's in the other room. Mrs. Bad lives here. Mom Bad was actually an extra in that movie. I was there. I was a little too young, but Mom has a picture with Paul Newman. So where do you think I got it? You met Bad Dad a couple weeks ago on Father's Day, but I got a lot from Mom too. Mom was on film first. How about that? There you go. So shout out to Mom Bad. Mom Bad also took me to another movie, All the Right Moves with Tom Cruise. I'm not talking about the movie, but the filming of the movie. Dad couldn't go. But Mom took me, and it was the two of us, and they had to manufacture fake rain for that game, and we were in the stands. You can't see us there, but that is an awesome memory. I love that too. We talk about all the football memories with my dad. That's a great football memory. I absolutely love that. Captain Underpants. 94 Steelers beat the Oilers, watching my first game of football at 5 years old. They won and became my team. Dad isn't a fan. All right, Captain Underpants, you just depressed the hell out of me. You were born in 1989. I graduated high school in 1989. But that's awesome. You watched your first Steeler game. And was that the one on the road that happened in late November? Or was that the Monday Night Football game in 1994? Probably the one on the road. Really interesting. That's my dad has a memory of Super Bowl 14. There was a streaker. Remember they were still doing the doing streaking. So there was a streaker that ran on the field at the Rose Bowl and the game that they were at. I got to thank you, Michael O'Malley. Hello, Mrs. Davis. Thanks for bringing some bad into this world. And when it's all caps, it's good bad. So that's okay. Margarita says, hello, Mrs. Davis. You can call her Bad Mom. That's okay. She's not in that movie, though. 1997 for Sean Manahan, watching Steelers beat the Patriots twice. They weren't quite the Patriots then. It was still Bill Parcells, but something happened in 1997 as well. The very beginning was the end of the 1996 season. And there was fog. They walloped the Steelers 28-3 in Foxborough. And that first game that you're talking about, Sean, in December, one of the favorite, it was the first retro show that I think Tony and I did. And this is gonna be some cross promotion for the retro show too. I'm gonna talk about that. But all these games that you remember that you have, you can go back and watch. I go to a site called McMillanandWife.com. And it's not the old show with Rock Hudson. But so if you type in McMillan and Wife Steelers, and they have all these old games on there, and it's awesome. And that's how I watch every single game before I do a retro show, because I take notes. And you could watch, you want to watch Kevin Henry helping beat up the Patriots in that game. That was a great night for me. One of my favorite nights of being a Steelers fan. That's awesome. Sean Manahan, first game I watched Ben Roethlisberger, because where I was at the time, they never televised them. 2014 when we beat the Cowboys, and I knew we had a Hall of Fame level QB. Now, here's a funny thing about that. That was on the 25th anniversary of the Pittsburgh Pirates winning the World Series. That game was the 25th anniversary of that. I remember, and that's the famous game that Bad Dad and I talk about, where my cousins went to the game and they called in to celebrate. Lifelong fans, another class of 89. Love it. 89ers. Yeah. Sean McMillan no longer watches new games. But guess what? He has a happy place too. I need to meet McMillan. I need to reach out to him because he does a lot for our show here. So I'm probably gonna do that. He doesn't watch new games, and that's fine. I get it. He wants to go back in time and relive this stuff, and that's what he's doing, and he's providing that for us. And that's where your happy place can be. I've got some happy places that would surprise you too. Sean Manahan says, but one would always have the Steelers game on, and several of the Steelers fans would show up every game, and the one where the bus ran over Urlacher, sweet. I can tell you the day of that game. December 11th, 2005. I couldn't get that game. One of the last games I did not see, and I had to listen to it on the radio because I was living in Frostburg, Maryland. They would not let me have a satellite dish. I couldn't get DirecTV. And since it's Redskins territory, and that game was on Fox, because back then they still do this a lot. They kind of divert a little bit now. But you always knew that if you played an NFC team at home, that game was going to be on Fox or CBS way back. Now CBS is home of the AFC, but they used to be the home of the NFC. So you would know it, you know. So I went to turn on the game, which it should have been televised. They're like, sorry, we don't have a doubleheader today on Fox. They didn't say that. I just figured it out in my head what it seemed like they would say to me if I called and yelled at them. And they played White Christmas instead. And I'm like, damn it. Once again, Clark Griswold's right. Danny Blanken K. So I didn't watch White Christmas. I was mad. And it's funny because this was right when I first started dating Mrs. Bad. And her favorite movie is White Christmas. And we watch it every single holiday when we're putting up the tree. And I love it. I absolutely love White Christmas now. But on that day, I didn't. But guess what? So I ordered wings and a stromboli from a local establishment, and I'm in my apartment by myself. Mom, bad mom and bad dad said, hey, you can drive to Johnstown. It's only an hour away. You can watch the game. But it was snowing, and I didn't want to do that, so I listened to it. And because of McMillan, I got to watch it years later. So I have seen the game, though. But when they're describing Bettis running over Brian Urlacher, man, that was sweet. It was absolutely sweet. I sat there eating my wings and stromboli, and it was just a great day. I have great memories of that. You know what? I also have some great memories of games that the Steelers lost. I know that sounds crazy, but there's a couple games that I could wax poetically about. One of my favorite, there's not many losses that will be my favorite, but one of my favorite Steelers losses, and this is gonna sound really weird, so bear with me, you'll understand where I'm going with this. But one of my favorite Steelers losses was 2 days before Christmas, 1995. That was the year they went to the Super Bowl. They were playing in Green Bay in the snow, and they already had the division wrapped up, and they were playing it was two great teams playing. It was in the snow. It was on a Saturday. I had just moved out of Johnstown, and I was back visiting family, and the Steelers were not supposed to win this game. Ultimately, they did not win this game, but they had an opportunity, and they fought, and they played valiantly. And sometimes when you play valiantly, you feel good. And I know there's moral victories, and this wasn't a moral victory. This was a team that could have went to the Super Bowl and did. This was a team that started out 3-4, and then they went on a run. And this was their only other loss. The loss didn't mean anything, so I guess that's what made it feel better. But the way they played the Packers that day was amazing. And they had the game wrapped up in the final seconds. Neil O'Donnell throws this pass in the corner of the end zone to Yancey Thigpen, and he hauls it in. But at that time, his knee came up and knocked it out of his hands. To most people, the Steelers won that day, and it didn't matter because they were going to be the number one. Actually, they ended up being the number 2 seed, but that all worked out too. But it was just one of those games that was just, maybe it was the fact that it was Christmas. Maybe it was the fact that the 2-story teams were playing. Maybe it was the fact that things were wrapped up anyways. It was just a fun game that I haven't gone back and watched that, but if I do any loss on the retro show, it's going to be that one. Oh, then Sean Manahan brings up Jesse James, the non-catch. Oh, yeah, I actually have great memories of that, but I have great memories of just being angry and crushed because I think that kind of ended up ruining the season. Whoa, check this out. My man Dave Shipley. I'm coming to Jayville. I'm coming to Duval. I've been there. I've been to Duval before, but I didn't know you that. We're going to watch a game together, whether it's there or Tampa or wherever. Dave Shipley turns 50 on Thursday. Cheers to the class of 89. I turned 50 in December. Man, we're going to have a Bad Company party there. But when a Bad Company turns 50, if I don't catch you on Thursday, happy birthday. We love you, man. Dave, turning 50. We're the same age. How about that? Lifelong remembers Neil and Yancey. Man, that was a fun time. Belated birthday. I said it the other day. I'm going to say it again. Belated birthday for Jack Lambert, July 8th. For the Steelers, turning 88, July 8th. That doesn't matter. Love those guys. Love the Steelers. Love Jack Lambert. But Snowman turned 50. How about that? Brian Brown turned 50 in April. Gosh, everyone's turning 50. We've got another birthday coming up. And this is funny because class of 2011, I lost it. But we have a class of 2011 making me feel really old. Jared Devil turns 28 on Wednesday. So happy birthday to Jared Devil. Somebody's got to write all these down. We've got to get these Bad Company birthdays down. I got to do that. Matt Stoffgo's turning 60. Cambria County in the house. Let me bring that up. But he also says watching the Steelers win a fourth Super Bowl at the Fire Hall and being so confident in a win that I was playing ping pong while the game was on. That's awesome. So that was Super Bowl 14th. Yeah, my dad and mom went to that game. Matt Stoffgo. Where did you graduate high school, Matt? Was it Johnstown High? Or was it Westmont? I think you told me before. I don't remember. Garrett's class of 12. Snowman's 56. Lifelong's going to be 52 in November. Hey, that's young. Bad Company, we're young. You know what's great about this, though? This is what's great about BTSC, the BTSC family, being Steeler fans, finding our happy places together. Jared Devil is 28 years old on Wednesday. Matt Stoffgo is going to be 60 next week. Votech, I went to Richland High, so we went right across from each other. So we're really close as far as that. Michael turned 44 in November. Like I said, Snowman's 56, Lifelong 52. Dave Shipley's turning 50. What's all that mean? Doesn't mean a darn thing. What it means, when you're in Bad Company, when you're here, then we're here together. This is where I never knew Jared Devil's age. I never knew Jared Devil was 28. I thought he was closer in age to me because there's no age here. It doesn't matter. Because when you're a Steeler fan, there's no age. You're just a Steeler fan. And that's it. That's what matters. Just Me, class of 85, 54 in October. I was just listening to 1985 on Sirius 80s on 8 because a lot of you know this about me. A lot of you don't know this about me. My favorite thing besides the Steelers is Casey Kasem. And I would watch, and you know the story, Casey Kasem and Chuck Noll died a day apart. Father's Day weekend at the same age, and that's what I would do. I would grow up listening to these guys, and it would overlap. So I'd watch the games, I'd write down the songs. But one of my favorite things to do, and I do a party trick, and I do this all the time. I can take, if you were born in the 1980s, or you give me any date in the 1980s, I can tell you the number one song on the day of the week, just like that. So December, what date? December 3rd is my birthday, Dave, if you're asking. Portnow wants to depart for space just like Richard Branson. We need to do do you think we need to do a Tales from 2 a.m. in space? Who would send me to space? Would you trust me in space? That's the question. Would you trust me in space? Would I mess that whole thing up? I would do a show from space. I could see us doing the preview, Dave and Jeff being back here and me doing one from space and saying something stupid in space. But you know what? I'd make friends with an alien just if they were wearing a Chase Claypool jersey. I guess that would be cool. Garrett would trust Dave Schofield in space more than me. That's Dave wants to know if Dave Shipley wants to know if there's beer in space. That's really funny. It's okay to rethink how old you are, just me, when you hear Madonna on the radio. Madonna's older than all of us. That's it. But I can still see her in that video with Material Girl. How about that? Brian Brown's tuning in. That's it. I got to do a podcast from space. Can you imagine Bad in space? Oh gosh, I kind of think that'd be a disaster. But now I want to do it. That's my new goal. The next BTSC meeting. All right, guys, I'm going to do a podcast from space. And Jeff will give me one of those. He'll give me the face palm, and I used to always get mad when he would do the face palm. And Michael O'Malley says green screen it. It's safer. Nah, I can't. If I'm going to do it, I got to go all out. Sean Manahan said, I would trust Bad in space more than I would trust Dave to kick a field goal. Oh, poor Dave. Blitzburg. I'm bringing up Blitzburg. One of my all-time favorite movies. We're talking about Steeler memories that aren't run-of-the-mill. Here's a movie that's not run-of-the-mill. If you've never seen Vision Quest, and there's a scene in Vision Quest when a guy named Elmo talks about, not Elmo from Sesame Street, when he talks about Pele kicking a soccer ball. And just, it's amazing. Matthew Modine, a lot of you know him from so many different things, but most recently in Stranger Things. Man, I've got to tell you this. Vision Quest, and Madonna was in that movie too, singing Crazy for You in that movie. Fantastic movie. Watch that if you get a chance. I love it. So, who here loves Vision Quest besides Blitzburg and me? Great movie. Love it. The movie starts off when he goes on a run to Journey's Only the Young. That's great. Lifelong Pele wasn't even in the movie. He was just discussing it because it was about a wrestling match. Look at Bad Dad. Bad Dad being channeling his inner Harbs here, giving me some slack. I have a vision, you and Schofield weightless on a podcast in space. Man. Gosh. I'm getting it now. Yeah, me and Dave weightless in space. We might challenge weightlessness if we go to space. How about that? Kathy Foret, amazing, a live show, and I'm awake. Hardest working woman in BTSC fandom. There we go. There's Kathy. I love Kansas Kathy. She's the best. Weightless in Space makes a great title. So, gosh, you guys like Bad Dad. You guys think Bad Dad's funnier than me. Bad Dad's not funnier than me. I taught Bad Dad everything he needs to know about humor. And he'll tell you that. So, there you go. No, that's probably not true, but there you go. I did not know Kathy was in Portugal. I need to hear that story. Okay, Michael, no, don't do that. Now he's going to get a big head. Then it's going to be Tales from 2 pills a day. I don't even know what that means. All right. Maybe I should bring Bad Dad back on the show again, huh? I'll do that if I can get 5 yeses for that. I'll bring him back in before the season starts. How about that? But we've got to vote on it. So yes or no? Okay, we've got 1. Kathy's saying Bad Dad could come back on the show. Michael O'Malley says yes. You're allowed to say no. You can. Aaron Butler, you're a Ravens fan. You can say no. Snowman says yes. Dad, I think you're back on the show. Yes. All right, here's the big deal. We need 1 more yes. Now, here's the big one. Do we bring Bad Mom on the show? You can't vote for yourself, Dad. Somebody mentioned a pay-per-view. Just me said it would be worth paying for it, not like the Conor McGregor fight. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, the Conor McGregor fight. I didn't even do. I just heard about it. So All right. So we'll talk about that. And hey, we might have. I'm gonna have to get Bad Godson on the show too. I'm gonna get my nephew on the show one of these days too. I'm gonna promise him a guest spot. So, Connor told me the other day, not Connor McGregor, my Connor told me, he's like, Dad, I want to go to a game this year. And I'm like, yeah. He's first time he's ever expressed interest. He's like, I'm trying to learn the Steelers more. Warmed my heart like crazy. Sean Manahan wants to bring Mrs. Bad on the show. Look, I've got a better chance of getting Ben Roethlisberger on the show than Mrs. Bad, because just Mrs. Bad just doesn't like the spotlight. That's it. Garrett says, meet me in LA. Cokes are on me. I love Los Angeles. That's great. Sean Manahan wants Mrs. Bad on the show to hear all the 2 a.m. stories. Yeah, she knows them. Bad Mom's not coming on the show. She just said not for her. She's like my wife. The ladies in my life don't want to be on the show. There's Jerry Cherry house band. The house band's coming up. Jerry Cherry, I need some originals. We need some BTSC originals from Jerry Cherry. Best guitarist in the land here. I'm telling you. Especially if you want to learn guitar, check out his stuff on YouTube. He's awesome. I wish I lived closer to JCB, because I would hang out with Jerry Cherry. LA is my thing, though, man. I love Los Angeles too. So I got to get back to Los Angeles. My best friend in the world lives in Los Angeles. So Bad Dad voting for himself is priceless. Yeah. There's no shame there. Now you see where I get it, I guess, huh? Now you see. Guys, I'm going to tell you this. Oh, Cherry's going to say, come to NYC. Yeah, I mean, man, we got to do that. We got to do that. And I'm telling you, we need to get together at a Steelers game, all of us. We really need to this year. I know, Dave and Big Bro's going to be there. I'm going to try to get there. I would love to do a BTSC LA meet anywhere in the US. I love LA. I know it's some people say it's not what it's cracked up to be. I mean, I love it. I love how I feel when I'm in Los Angeles. I was never a New York City fan, but recently I've become a huge New York City fan. I love Chicago. I just love anywhere in the US. I'll go everywhere. But I'll even go to Kansas or Portugal and hang out with Kathy. That'd be awesome. Portugal is not in the US, but I tell you what, I didn't want to do the show this morning. I was in a bad mood, just feeling crappy today. Then I come in the show, and this is what I get. And this is what lifts me up. I don't think you could tell I was in a bad mood before I came on the show. I was going to do a 40-minute, because 40 minutes the minimum. And this was going to be a 40-minute show, and that's it. Now we're getting to go into overtime where we have to, I make everybody cut it off around 1 hour, so I'm going to cut it off in an hour. But I love you guys. And you put me in a good mood. And thanks for taking care of Bad Dad and Bad Mom. I appreciate that. We're all a family here. You guys make me feel good. You know how close it is to the season? And I said this earlier in the show, and I didn't talk more about it. Yeah. Tales from 2 a.m. ends in September for the year. Why? Because there's more important things to do than just have some Yinzer Jagoff here talking about his memories, because the Steelers are going to be playing. I'll be back in February, hopefully late February, but I'll be back in February. But in the meantime, we're going to blow this out right. We're going to do the next 2 months. And finish up Tales from 2 a.m. with a lot of fun stuff. I want to know what you guys hit me up on Twitter. What do you guys want to talk about on Tales from 2 a.m.? Let's think about some things that we're going to do. But the reason we're gone in September is when the Steelers are playing, it turns into the post-game show. That's more important. That's so much more important. But nothing's more important than you guys. I love each and every one of you. Blessings to your family. And you've got to do 3 things for me. Those 3 things are simple. The first one, be safe. I need these names on my screen. I need you guys in my life. You welcome me into yours. I welcome you into mine. So I need this. Number 2, don't change who you are. Be true to yourself. These are the B's. If it's bad company, these are your B's. Be true to yourself. That's what I love about you, because you're you. I mean, I know I'm sounding Sesame Street right now, but I'm a weird dude. You know that. I'm different than most people that you know. Yeah, Michael O'Malley's not going to pee on my couch. I appreciate that. You remember that, huh? So, yeah, be true to yourself. And you allow me to be me. I don't want to be anything else than this guy that you see here. And third, always be behind the steel curtain. I don't know what time it is on your clock, on your smartwatch, on the sundial you're using, but it's got to be 2 a.m. somewhere. Love you.